Football coaches accused of forcing a high school player to eat pork against his religion. Well, tonight, a settlement has been awarded to that Canton McKinley player, but this is far from over. Michelle Nix live in the newsroom tonight breaking down this complex case. Michelle.
Good evening, Chris. The bottom line, the attorney representing former Canton McKinley coaches says the $125,000 settlement is a fraud because he says it's based on claims that the court has already ruled are false.
It's unthinkable. The corruption, the waste of public funds, the maliciousness, the intent to continue to lie about these facts to justify the decision they made it's just mind-blowing, Michelle.
Attorney Peter Patakos represents the former Canton McKinley football coaches who lost their jobs in June of 2021 because a student athlete accused them of forcing him to eat pork in the form of a pepperoni pizza and against his religious beliefs.
As you know, justice in these courts can go slowly. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to make sure that the truth comes out about this matter and that these coaches pursue all available remedies to protect their reputations and restore their reputations.
Attorney Patakos contends that the coaches were not even aware of the student's religion, even though they did allow him to take the pepperoni off the pizza and offered an alternative. He says the coaches wanted to teach the young man a lesson because while he was eating pizza, his teammates were forced to do real work, performing drills.
That lawsuit was hanging by a thread. The federal court had dismissed all the claims against the coaches, and it left one claim against the district that could not be dismissed on the pleadings, but that would have definitely been dismissed on summary judgment.
A summary judgment means a decision by the court in favor of one party in the lawsuit without a full trial. The most recent lawsuit filed in court, the coaches against Liberty Mutual, the school's superintendent, and his attorney.
So the insurance company, unfortunately, was misled by the conflicted attorney for the school district.
Now, the defamation part of this lawsuit will go to court in September. I reached out to attorney Ed Gilbert, who represents the now former student at the center of this case. He told me, quote, "I have not seen the lawsuit, so I can't really comment. I don't know where attorney Patakos is coming from, but I'm not surprised by anything he does. He's desperate," end quote. So stay tuned. Reporting from the newsroom, Michelle Nix, 19 News.